Good morning. Happy Tuesday. I hope everybody had a great long weekend. So quickly, this video is just to introduce the Leadership Development Day we're going to host. And again, the information is in the link to the Eventbrite. The cost is $49. Included in that will be a copy of the book, breakfast, and 4 hours of development on the following subjects. So again, the $49 is really just about breaking even. I want to be able to expose people to this learning that I've learned elsewhere. And so with the room, the book, and the breakfast, there you go. There's the 49 bucks, and you will find tons of value in this. So here, what are the 4 things we're going to cover that day? Number 1 is, the big piece that's in the book and that I try and engage with every client before I do strategic planning, before I'll do business development, before I'll do consulting. I try and get them bought into understanding before you can either try to build your business or attract and retain employees. The key skill lies in leadership. And what's the process and what are the behaviors to ensure people stay with you, they're learning, they're growing as long as possible? Because that allows you to now go to the next steps and build your business. That's the anchor. So we're going to start with that. We're going to spend an hour and a bit on that. I'm going to bring you a high level into what those 5 steps are, what the behaviors you can perform. And after the session, if you loved what you hear, I'm happy to send you all the resources. So we'll talk a little bit about that. Second piece is going to be strategic planning that gets buy-in. And what does that mean? Well, I've been a part, luckily, of multiple strategic plans, both as a manager, director, vice president, and then ultimately accountable as a president. And here's where I've seen good ones really work. So as an example, when I worked at Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment at the time, they did a really good job of managing the board, getting the expectations through the senior executive and down to the department directors, with all the architecture laid out, and it was fill in the blanks and go talk to your teams now and come back and pitch us on your plan. And that was awesome. One of the strongest places. So I want to show you a little bit about that and how that worked. But then once the plan was built, it kind of stopped. We got town hall updates of how things were going, but there wasn't a monthly check-in of, hey, Mark, you said you were going to build this store by this date. Where are you at, and what revenue are you generating now that you predicted you'd do in the last 6 months? So there wasn't that ability to kind of deep dive into the plan because there was high levels of accountability and engagement on who's doing what, when are they doing it, how are we going to measure it? And so I want to talk about that opportunity. And in other organizations, I've seen that done really well. So they have the back end really done in a process where they sit down every month and they say, Gina or John, you were supposed to do this tactic on this date. In front of your peers as an executive group, where are you at? And that organization's area of opportunity was they didn't hold all the executives accountable. So suddenly one executive had the ability to say, well, I'm really, really busy, so we're going to push that till next year. And that's fine once in a while. But 1 item became 2, 2 became 3. And what starts to happen is you start to lose the faith of the team that's rolling out the plan in other areas. So we're going to talk about how to avoid that. And then that same organization, not all leaders took that back to their teams before they came to the corporate retreat to say, here's my plan. Now, here's the problem with that is you try and get buy-in after the fact, but the team hasn't been engaged in the plan to buy in the first place from an ideas perspective. You as the leader are still accountable to building that plan for your team, but the more you engage on the front end, generate ideas, the more they'll buy in on the back end to tactic, accountability, and measurements. We're going to talk a little bit about that. That's the second part of the session. Again, spend an hour and a half about how to build a great strategic plan, but more importantly, how to plan for it and how to make it stick. And then the third piece is, this world of business development where everybody, and full kudos to Ron Tite from this term, I still speak to it today, is pitch slapping and getting these unsolicited reach outs in LinkedIn and blasted emails coming from someone's CRM system. And those are all important. We have to generate business. But I'm going to teach you how to find your prospects so you don't have to waste your time on the people who never will be one. And then I'm going to teach you how to personalize that so you stand out and you look different than everyone else. We're going to spend an hour and a half on that. And then the last piece is employment branding. How do you attract talent that will produce and stay as long as possible? Again, and I'll share a little bit about that insight, is people will leave. How do you make sure they've produced while they're there, you wish them well while they go, and someone else is ready to come in? And then how do you tell that story to the marketplace of employees so they want to work in that environment? And that'll be the fourth piece. And so what I'll be doing is really exposing you to the 4 concepts that I spend a lot of time on with my clients. I'll be giving you a 1-hour snapshot on each. You should be able to take away the philosophies, the process, and some resources to go and implement it yourself. I will not be asking you for your emails so I can generate a database and send you out a customized CRM approach to getting you to be my clients. I promise you I won't do that. I believe my work speaks for itself. And when you need me, you'll reach out to me. In the short term, what I want to do is I want to give you some tools so you can go and better lead your team. Okay. And if you get these 4 anchors, it's really where we generate a lot of positive change with my clients. So who's this for? And again, it's up in the link above. This is for anybody who's a manager of people today. Okay. Because you're going to get a lot out of the leadership training piece. You're going to get a lot out of the employee branding piece. You're going to get a lot out of the business development piece. And the strategic planning, if you've never done strategic planning, I'm going to show you the anchors that go into a plan so you can start to learn that before you get into that opportunity. If you're a senior executive who's accountable for all these things, I'm going to give you a different way to look at leadership. I'm going to give you some process that you can implement with your teams and have your leaders roll it out. I'm going to share with you from a strategic planning perspective where you may be missing the key components in your strategic plan today in your process. And then I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how you can grow your business as a senior executive and how do you attract people. So there's a home for senior executives, and I strongly recommend that for this group. And then finally, small business owners who don't have any of these disciplines or are missing some, you got to be there. And lastly, HR. The leadership piece is so important that HR holds that. The individual leader has to be the one who performs the behaviors, but the HR leader can influence that culture change. Everything starts with that relationship between the manager and their employee at all levels. And then, of course, on the employment branding piece, that'll be huge for HR individuals. And then lastly, certainly the HR leaders sit at strategic planning and they're part of that. And it would give you a little bit of a snapshot on some business development opportunities, just to be aware as you're working with your senior sales leaders. So value for those 3 groups: manager who leads people, HR to understand the leadership processes that I'm going to speak about and how it ties into the rest, and as individuals on senior management teams for strategic planning, etc. And then lastly, small, medium business owners. You're the ones that I'm working a lot with where you've grown your business to X and you can't get to the next level. And what you've brought me into is to expose the learning I've had to allow you to put those processes in place. We're having great success there. So if you're a small to medium business owner, you want to be there too. Here's the deal. And then I'm going to shut up. I know this is a long video and I know most of you won't watch it, but for those of you who made it to the end, breathe. Okay. This day is about your development. Okay. You will be able to leave with the resources. You'll be able to leave with the book. You'll be fed. You'll be in a network of a great bunch of people. 62 people is what I'm maxing this out at. I know I said 200 in the past. 200 isn't very intimate. Okay. So we're going to go, we picked a room of 62 comfortably where we can serve you breakfast, get you through this day, give you tons of value and get you out by noon. So 8 a.m., noon, 62 of you. Register quickly because it's going to go fast. All the best. Oh, happy Tuesday.